All right. So, who wants to...
Well, we don't have to go down through the list. What we did at our first meeting was we went around and said, like, what our spiritual beliefs were. So I guess, like, one of the first questions we came up with last time was, what are your spiritual beliefs?
Well, I can do my best to answer that question.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it simple. I was raised in my younger years, probably from when I can remember birth. I don't remember being born, thank God. But I mean, from when I could remember to about age 8 or 9, I was brought up in a mission school on a reservation. And so I tell you what I didn't believe in was the Catholicism. And so in looking back at the freedom my mother gave me to choose what I wanted to do, basically is what she did. So I went to various ceremonies throughout my teenage years. But at the same time, I was grounded on what I wanted to do. And I was about 10 years old, and I wanted to, because I come from a native family, speak our language, we sing our songs, we know our history. I was definitely going to go that route, and I don't know if it's a spiritual belief or a lifestyle or both. I know it's hard to even explain, but I was brought up going through native ceremonies, sweat lodge ceremonies, pipe ceremonies, smudging ceremonies, fasting ceremonies, coming of age ceremonies, listening to stories, for entertainment purposes and for education purposes. And that led me to be grounded in what I would call the Native American tradition of living, which is, in essence, to wrap it up so we can understand it, even for myself, that's my spiritual belief. But I did go to temples, Jewish temples. I have gone to, I was an altar boy, even though I didn't get First Communion or anything. I got a opportunity because I lived on an island, a reservation, to do that. And so I was an altar boy. I also went to a Pentecostal church to see what that was like for about 2 or 3 months. That was interesting. And there's a Baptist church on the island. I attended some of their ceremonies or church services. But I always felt like that it was my grounding was not necessarily, spiritual grounding was not confined to walls. It was confined to actually sitting on the dirt, actually in the gender of the trees in our ceremonies, and in the gender of different spirits, like common misconception, not necessarily that it's here, but is that Native people have many gods, but we don't. We have one God. We have God. There's only a God, is what we believe. But we have spirits of the water, spirits of the trees, spirits of the land, spirits of the wind, spirits of the grass. Everything has a spirit. Well, all those spirits contain genders, male and female. So protection and nurturing and that kind of stuff in our ceremonies. And that's my spiritual belief as far as how I was brought up, and I think what I learned and what I found to be the most true to me. I don't know if that answers your question necessarily, but I don't know if I can answer that question.
What was the smudging that you asked?
I was curious about that too. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, a smudging ceremony is the ability to protect yourself in times when feeling vulnerable, weak, spiritually weak, physically weak, spiritually vulnerable. Those are the times when there's let's go back a little bit, or you feel like you need to be protected because you're going into a like in quotes a hostile situation. So you're going into a meeting where you know that people are going to be angry and temperaments are going to be flying. Well, in that room, in our beliefs, there's some extreme anger floating around. And what we call it is getting hit. And that's when you can actually physically absorb somebody's bad energy. All right. And so when we feel like we're getting hit, then that's draining you, emotionally and physically draining you. And so what we do is we smudge before we go into those situations, or we smudge when we're feeling vulnerable, day or night. There's certain ceremonies that can't be done during the dark. There's certain ceremonies that are only done during the day, you know, but there's some that you can bring into the night if you start them in the day, and there's some you can do in the night if they're quick, and smudging is one of those. And there's a number, I think there's 4 things you can use, and I'll explain what they are, but first I want to tell you what the things are. First one is sage. Second one is tobacco. The third one is cedar. And the fourth one is sweetgrass. So the sweetgrass and the cedar, burning those, you can either burn them together or you could just burn one or the other, but together it's more strength, more spiritual strength, physical strength. So the sage and the actually all of the sage, sweetgrass, and sage, sweetgrass. What was the other one I said?
Tobacco.
No, not tobacco.
Cedar?
Cedar, sage, cedar, and sweetgrass are feminine spirits. So the gender they hold is for almost like a mother bear. If you're a mother and you got children and somebody's going after your children, it's not that you're going to be gentle with this person or whatever. You're going to go after this person. You're going to protect your child. And by putting that smoke around you, it can keep away, for lack of better words, it forms a barrier around you, and you're not susceptible to being attacked, you know, spiritually or physically. And the tobacco is a male gender, a grandfather gender, who basically, within the scheme of those particular smudging ceremonies, are it's obviously more feminine spiritual support, but at the same time, the grandfather one is there for emotional strength. And not that the grandmothers, what we call the grandmothers, the feminine ones, can't be for emotional strength either, but it's a different kind. And so we light those using we can either light, which is a generic sage stick, and it creates the smoke we put around ourselves. We can smudge our area. It's almost like something that can't be penetrated. And if there's some bad energy around it, it has to leave. It just cannot stand being around. And so we open cupboards, open doors, open windows. We always got to let an outlet. I mean, we can't smudge with everything closed because it's not, where's it going to go? And so we always have an outlet for it to go. And we take a piece of fungus. I don't know how to say what it is in English, but it's not a horseshoe fungus that grows on like birch bark trees. It's a different kind of fungus that you see mostly on stumps. It's a big thing that people paint on sometimes. That's very sacred to us. And we take it and we cut it into little chunks, little squares, and we light that, and that becomes a coal for our smudge. And then we can put our stuff individually on there or collectively and create the smudge and protect ourselves. So that's a smudging ceremony. It's a protection ceremony. It's very basic.
Do they use those at funerals? Because I feel like that happened at like something like that happened at one of my friends' funerals.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and smudging ceremonies actually, you know, they're considered to be pagan, which is a good thing, but yet the Catholics use smudging ceremonies with frankincense as well. They swing that thing back and forth. And when I was an altar boy trying that out, didn't make my first communion, but I told the priest I did. He let me do it, and they use it for the protection of the area too. But smudging is very common. It's almost, I don't want to say this in a mean way or a demeaning way, but